What is going on, guys? The Inside the Booth podcast, and today we're talking about the New York Giants and my 5 hot takes for this year's NFL season. It looks like we're about 50 days away, I believe. I think I saw a tweet saying that we're 50 days away, so don't count me on 50 days, but I believe we are 50 days away from the NFL season and week 1 for the Washington Commanders against the New York Football Giants. But we have 5 hot takes today. We are going to talk about all 5 of them in pretty decent depth and analysis, but don't forget to like this video, comment, and subscribe. We just hit 300 subscribers. We're at 301 now, so I appreciate it. Appreciate all of the love from the YouTube Shorts, getting over 1,000 views almost every video that we've uploaded. So thank you guys for that. But anyways, let's get right into these hot takes, man. And at number 1, we're going to talk about Darius Slayton today, wide receiver of the New York Giants, and he is one of my players that I want to see have a kind of a bounce back year. You know, I see when you go from 500 yards, you know, this past season in 2024, but the previous 2 seasons you've had 700 plus. I believe part of that was from Daniel Jones throwing the ball, Drew Lock, you know, Tim Boyle out of time, Tommy DeVito, you know, all of these guys that aren't really good NFL quarterbacks. But I believe with new quarterback play and Russell Wilson coming to the New York Giants, I believe that Darius Slayton is going to finish with a career high in receptions and yards. I think he could be an 800-yard plus receiver, potentially with the play of Russell Wilson. I do believe that. I think when you get, you know, Malik Nabers, you know he's pretty much a lock for 4,000 yards, right? I think we can all agree with that. He had 1,000 plus yards with the quarterbacks of Daniel Jones, Tim Boyle, DeVito, all of those guys. I think with Russell Wilson, that should be almost guaranteed. Maybe we even look at the 1,300 yards this year or 1,400 yards for Malik Nabers potentially. But that is our week. That is our first hot take. I think Darius Slayton can be that real wide receiver too for this team and help out Malik Nabers. So Malik Nabers isn't the only threat out of the wide receiver room. I know we need a lot out of the wide receiver room, not just with Malik Nabers. We know what Nabers is going to give you, but what is Wan'Dale going to give you this year? What is Darius Slayton? Is Jalin Hyatt even going to get much playing time? So I mean, a lot to look at that locker room, specifically in the wide receiver core and what they're going to bring. But the second hot take for the New York Giants, I feel like any hot take, you have to take a non-playoff team to a playoff team. But in this one, I have the Giants in our second hot take making the wild card. And I think the Giants a lot, and I mean everything would have to go right for this to happen. We projected them at 7 wins this year. I think a lot are projecting them at 3 to 4 wins, which understandably, you look at the roster, you look at the schedule, Giants haven't really had much wins, you know, in their recent years. I mean, they picked at the top of the draft numerous times. They haven't been able to hit on a lot of their draft picks, including Evan Neal. That is the main one that they really didn't hit on Evan Neal. We'll see what season Evan Neal has, but you know, some of the top picks that they've had in the last 4 or 5 years have not been good, and that's also why the Giants continue to be in this circle of bad football. Oh, we'll get a star, and then he'll leave us. So I mean, I think the Giants. Do I think this is going to happen? Probably not. I think 9 wins would be unbelievable for the team. The last time they had 9 wins was the first year of Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen era. But, I mean, listen, if the offensive line can improve and allow less sacks, if the defense could be a top 10 unit, I think that as a whole should be a top 10 unit. I think they have a good linebacker room. Their cornerbacks with the Paulson Adebo addition, Javon Holland addition, and, of course, your draft pick, Abdul Carter. Expect a lot out of him this year. So, a lot to look forward to the Giants this year. Do I think they're going to ultimately make the playoffs? Probably not, but hey, it's a hot take, and the Giants are going to make the wild card. It's a hot take, so don't take me too serious. And don't take all of these picks, like these hot takes, like what is this guy talking about? they're supposed to make you feel like that, right? I feel like that's what a true hot take kind of is. But getting into our third hot take, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and Abdul Carter to combine for 30-plus sacks. Now, we need these guys to, sack the quarterback and apply a lot of pressure. So, I think Abdul Carter's betting line for sacks this year is 6.0. I think he could absolutely blow that stat line or that betting line out of the water. I think he could easily finish with 8+. Maybe we get into the 10 category. And then for Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux, I honestly expect 9+ sacks out of them. I honestly do. For Kayvon's sake, I think he has gotten better as a pass rusher. I think he's got more consistent with his wins. It's just, I need him to stay healthy. I need him to be on the field. And when all three of those guys are on the field, or at least two of them, it's going to be a problem. And don't forget about Dexter Lawrence. I didn't even include him in this. I wanted these three guys, these three edge rushers for Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and Abdul Carter. I think that they can get 30-plus sacks combined. So, if it's 10+, 10+, and 10+, or it's 8+, all of that, I think these three guys can get 30-plus sacks. And they should be a really fun unit. I'm excited to watch this Giants team this year. I know that's crazy to say because of their win total and what they've gone through, what us fans have gone through recently, but I truly believe that this can be a somewhat competitive football team and maybe get some upset wins. Don't forget to check the schedule prediction. I know I mentioned that they went 7-10, but there are some upset games. I truly believe that. But getting into our fourth hot take, I have Dexter Lawrence winning the Defensive Player of the Year. This guy, he had 9 sacks as a nose tackle. And this guy, at the defensive line, you're going to have to double him. Because if not, that center or whoever is playing against Dexter Lawrence is going to have a rough day. He's 27 years of age. He's got a long history ahead of him. A lot of playing, ahead of him. And I think only his football is going to get better at age 27. But the thing is with Dexter Lawrence, I think he got hurt, right? He got hurt towards the end of the year. But regardless, any analyst that talks about this defensive unit starts with Dexter Lawrence. He is your most important piece on the defensive side, and I guess, your offensive side. It's Andrew Thomas, of course, but Andrew Thomas needs to stay healthy. Dexter Lawrence is a beast, and I think, if he can put everything together and stay healthy, he has a good chance at winning Defensive Player of the Year. But getting into our final hot take of this Hot Takes video, we got to talk about Malik Nabers and how with the better quarterback, this guy could win the Offensive Player of the Year. Lock it in, Malik Nabers to win the Offensive Player of the Year. There's a ton of value there. This is not gambling advice or anything or betting advice, but the value, I think, could potentially be there. Fantasy football-wise, I think Malik Nabers could be awesome, but we're talking about the main football. We don't talk about fantasy or anything else on that. But Malik Nabers, right? The season that guy had with the quarterbacks that he had and all of that, now he gets an improved quarterback with Russell Wilson. And I'm not saying Russell Wilson is a top 10 guy, but I'd say he's a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, and I think he still has a little bit of juice in him. In a recent interview, he said he felt like he was 25. He felt really, he fit in with this young group, and I'm not saying you're probably going to get prime, Seattle Russ, but I think you can get a solid year out of Russell Wilson. It's going to be interesting, how long of a leash he has, because the Giants' schedule is no easy. It is not easy at all. And the problem with that is, this team has not gotten good quarterback play since Eli Manning. Daniel Jones has been terrible. Tommy DeVito, awful. All of the guys that they've tried to bring in, they haven't been good. So hopefully the addition of Russell Wilson can help Malik Nabers win the Offensive Player of the Year. But just to recap these 5. So Darius Slayton we have as a hot take as to break his career high in receptions and his career high in yards. He hasn't really gone past that 50 reception mark. Maybe he can get 65, something like that. Our second hot take is, of course, probably the most delusional out of them all. It's the Giants to make the wild card. The odds of this happening, everything really has to go their way. And I think even if that happens, I still don't know if they're going to be a 9-8 team or a team that's going to have aspirations of playoffs. So take that as it is. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and Abdul Carter to combine for 30-plus sacks. I think this one really can happen. This team can get to the quarterback. We saw it last year, and then it took a complete dip, and the defense looked awful. Hot take number 4, we got Dexter Lawrence winning the Defensive Player of the Year. It's a hot one, right? Maybe you could say one of the edge rushers, like a Brian Burns, could potentially be it. I think that's even hotter. But the season that Dexter Lawrence had last year, I think he's going to build off that season. He's fully healthy. And I think if he stays healthy, he can have a really solid year. And number 5, of course, Malik Nabers winning the Offensive Player of the Year. With better quarterback play, we hope that, we can get a really good year out of Malik Nabers. And, maybe even get kind of that LSU juice, right? When he makes a play and he turns it into 30-plus, 40-plus, maybe even a touchdown. So we'll see how Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka utilize Malik Nabers, maybe in a different way. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Our 5 hot takes for the New York Giants. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and of course, let's go Giants. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.